Worldwide phenomenons. No one can really account for them, but when they hit, they break the internet. TikTok, Fortnite, Among Us. These are examples of trends that dominated when they first came out. But one game in particular truly redefined what it meant to take over the world. And for that, we'd have to go back to 2016. Oh, 2016, the year everyone seems to be so nostalgic over. There were fidget spinners, the mannequin challenge, dabbing, bottle flipping, Harambe, killer clowns. Yeah, this was a really strange year. All these things were a product of their time, but one thing stood above them all, and that was Pokémon Go.
Hit mobile game app Pokémon Go has only been on for a few days.
Pokemon Go craze has gripped the nation, and now it's showing at Pokemon Go.
September 10th, 2015, the debut trailer for Pokémon Go released, and it instantly brought eyes on the game. The trailer promised the future of Pokémon, with them coming to the real world through augmented reality, showing footage of people going through their everyday lives, finding Pokémon like Pikachu and Charizard in the real world. This trailer checked all the boxes and went completely viral back in 2015. The trailer also promised trading with one another, Pokémon battles in the real world in the format of 1v1s and 3v3s, and ultimately a raid boss event where trainers would group together and fight a legendary Pokemon at the same time in hopes of capturing it. This game looked perfect.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
This looked like everything a Pokemon fan would ever want, and to be honest, if this was the game we got on launch, I wouldn't be making this video. But some things are too good to be true. On July 6, 2016, the world had changed forever. Pokemon Go had released to the public, and the hype was real. A pretty common phrase that is thrown around on the internet is, the last time we had world peace was when Pokemon Go released. And that statement couldn't be more true. Everyone was on the same page, and it was to play Pokemon. People who were clocked out of the franchise years ago were playing the game. New and old fans alike were coming together for the love of Pokemon, and the game only released with the original Kanto Pokemon, which is actually to its benefit, since, let's be real, everyone knows the first generation of Pokemon. Ask your grandma to name one Pokemon, she's at least saying Pikachu. Back in 2016, if you found a rare Pokemon, you might as well have kept it to yourself, because if you dare said the words Dragonite near you, you would summon a whole stampede running towards you like you found the One Piece. I'm not kidding, there is hundreds of clips of people just rushing through traffic to find a rare Pokemon.
Dragonite! Dragonite! Yo, get that nigga!
And honestly, this unity was kind of beautiful and a bit of the magic of the game. But then, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
Pokémon Go, every day I play Pokémon Go.
Because I swear, negativity was at an all-time high when this song dropped. Anyways, there were a lot of problems with the game. People started removing their rose-tinted glasses and noticed something wasn't right. If you're an original player, you'll remember the single most annoying thing about this game. Yeah, this stupid screen! It was almost impossible for players to consistently play Pokemon Go when it first launched. People would either get kicked out of the game while playing it, or just never had a chance to log in at all. This spawned countless memes of the Pokemon Go loading screen across the internet. But once you're inside the game, it got worse. The game was nothing like it was advertised. You couldn't battle your friends, you couldn't do trades, there were no raid battles, and you could kind of just catch Pokemon. And even that was questionable since it was just floating Pokemon through the lens of your camera and nothing like the original trailer showed us. The game in its initial release state felt like an alpha version compared to what it looks like today. But even if you were someone who wanted to ignore all the flaws and just play Pokemon Go, the wild Pokemon tracking system didn't even work. It was completely dysfunctional and would straight up lie to you about nearby Pokemon in your area, to the point where Niantic had to remove this feature from the game. So we had a game where we kinda just aimlessly walked around hoping to find rare wild Pokemon. This was the game that took over summer 2016. How is that even possible? On paper it sounds terrible. Well, there's one thing that made it blow up: the community. Everyone likes to be a part of something, and Pokemon Go capitalized on this. When you first log into Pokemon Go, it prompts you to do one thing: joining one of three teams. Teams Valor, Team Mystic, and the Team for Babies. With your team, you can conquer gyms around your city where you'd place your strongest Pokemon there to hold these gyms. If your team took over the gym, it would show your team's icon glowing, letting everyone in your city know your team was better. In my opinion, this feature single-handedly propelled the popularity of Pokemon Go, since it seemed like a club you just had to be a part of. The internet made pointless memes of which team was the best and which team was clearly the worst, but it was all in good fun and created a sense of unity the likes of Pokemon have never seen before. So, with the good and the bad that was going on with Pokemon Go, the next step would be for the game developers to stay on top of it, quickly fix major bugs, and communicate with the community to make this game as good as it can be, right? You see, Pokemon Go was created by a company called Niantic Inc., an internal startup company within Google which had only made one augmented reality game prior to Pokemon Go called Ingress, which was originally on the Android and never really picked up. So you got the new kid on the block, handed the biggest franchise in the entire world, and didn't account for this game to be a worldwide takeover. So the server sucked, like really bad. So many people were trying to play it at once that the CEO had to make the decision to halt the release of the game to every other country and slowly roll out the game. The original drop only allowed the United States, New Zealand, and Australia to download the game. Granted, there were still illegal ways to get access to the game for everyone else, but this measure was put into place to limit traffic, and it still didn't help. The servers were bad, as we all know. It's really easy for people to write off the late 2016-2017 fall off to Niantic, but in hindsight, I feel bad for Niantic. They were put in a scenario where there are no winners. Do you focus on fixing the servers to get everyone on a buggy game as fast as possible, or do you sacrifice the hype to fix your game, losing a lot of players, since in this modern era, it seems like games get one chance to impress the audience or they get called dead or mid. Niantic found some weird middle ground where they rolled out some pointless quality of life updates and didn't address the bigger issue while still trying to fix the servers, and this hurt them really bad. The community felt ignored and just not treated properly. In the summer, Pokemon Go would easily retain around 250 million active players, and by December of that same year, it had dropped to below 50 million monthly players. Around an 80% dip in the initial player base. There really wasn't much to look forward to. The communication was lackluster, and yeah, sure, we got a Halloween event that year, which brought back some players to the game, but it seemed like too little too late. People had gone back to school, gone back to work, and Pokemon Go was looking like a thing of the past, just a summer fad. But there was a small light at the end of the tunnel that the remaining community was looking forward to, and that was Pokemon Go Fest. Niantic had promised the first real-life major Pokemon Go event, taking place in July 2017 in Chicago. This would be a place where Pokemon fans would gather to hear new news about the game, get increased catch odds on rare Pokemon, and maybe even battle an event boss Pokemon. Everything points to this being the event for the game, with tons of people around the world flying out just for this event. But as real-life internet events go, Pokemon Go Fest 2017 ended up being the biggest disaster yet. Pokemon Go Fest 2017 simply didn't work. Many people were having difficulties logging onto the game. The event was so uncoordinated and there is really no one to blame. I gotta give credit to the staff since they were trying their best to keep this day as optimistic as possible, but people were really mad. They flew out for this. They spent tons of money on hotels, food, water, and they're just wasting their time standing outside all day in the heat. The biggest failure of this event by far was when the CEO of Niantic came up on stage and was met with booing and chanting from the audience to fix the game. Everyone was mad, and Niantic held up hope that the servers would end up fixing themselves out and people would be able to play, but they were never able to. Niantic tried to make things right by refunding everyone and crediting their account with Pokédollars and giving people free legendaries, but from the internet's point of view, that didn't matter since they were being clowned on for months after that. It just seemed like Pokemon Go was dead at that point. That was the lowest it has ever been.
We will be offering refunds for those that have been here today. You'll be getting an email from us on that whole process. We'll make it very turnkey and easy for you to do. Number two, we are going to be awarding $100 in Pokecoins for everybody that was here today. That'll be credited to your account. Again, thanks for your patience. We hope you had fun today. And I'm going to kick it to Rachel for results.
You know when games just randomly get popular again? Take Minecraft in 2020, where people just randomly started playing it again and enjoying it. Well, this effect happened with Pokemon Go. It seemed that from 2018 onwards, the core community was playing the game, and it got considerably better. Tons of new Pokemon were added, servers were always stable, there were consistent updates, and almost all the features the original trailer showed us were in the game in some capacity. The revenue that the game was making was increasing by year, and a considerable amount. 2019 was its healthiest and most stable year yet. Everything was looking good for Pokemon Go. The community was happy with the consistent updates they were getting, and we finally had the game that was originally promised to us with the trailer. Everything was amazing until it wasn't.
Good evening. The coronavirus is the biggest threat this country has faced for decades, and this country is not alone. From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home.
Yeah, this is bad. The game that required you to go outside couldn't be played due to that nasty virus in 2020 that kept us all inside. For every other game, the lockdown was amazing since everyone was playing video games. There's nothing else to do and you wanted to be kept distracted. And most companies in Niantic's position would have called it quits and the story would have ended here. Pokemon Go would have died off due to that nasty virus since you couldn't play the game. But Niantic did their smartest thing yet. They made Pokemon Go remote. Pokemon spawn rates were increased, allowing you to catch Pokemon within the comfort of your own home. You didn't need to walk that far to hatch eggs anymore. And Niantic introduced something called the Remote Raid Patch, which is loved by the community, allowing you to battle raid boss Pokemon within the comfort of your own home, and inviting players from around the world to join your raid to defeat legendary Pokemon, and maybe even catching shiny ones. The problem with raids before is that you really couldn't do them by yourself unless you had a group of people outside with you, but now that you can do it from the comfort of your own home and invite people around the world to help you do raids, it created a much more active community and added such an interesting twist on the game. This felt like Pokemon Go 2. The quarantine update allowed for less fortunate players in an area where not many people played Pokemon Go to experience that sense of community online, since you didn't need to have the people right beside you to play. And yeah, there are other videos that explain way better than I could how quarantine helped Pokemon Go, but in layman's terms, the Pokemon game became more accessible than ever. Jumping to the present day, Pokemon Go is killing it, and not many games have such a great comeback like this one. It seems like the recent peak for Pokemon Go was when Niantic gave players the choice if they wanted to play remote or if they wanted to play in person. Recently though, Niantic seems that they have a hard stance on this remote play, and earlier this year announced they're going to be nerfing the Pokemon Go Raid Pass, making it cost more money and giving it a restriction of 5 uses per day. Basically giving the middle finger to the players who rely on playing remote since they don't have anyone to play with in their area. Now granted, they did say they aren't outright removing this feature and always see a place for it in the game, but they would prefer if their primary player base was playing outside rather than indoors. The community was outraged with this change since why would they hard nerf such a good feature? Why would they not just buff the benefits of playing in person? But only time will tell to see how detrimental this will be to Pokemon Go overall. Nonetheless, Pokemon Go had its fair shares of ups and downs, and to me, it's honestly surprising how big of a comeback they had, and the future of the game is honestly up to however Niantic wants to take it. Regardless, Pokemon Go has definitely made its mark on history.